A force of 30,000 Sunni and Shi'ite fighters, both soldiers and militia, both launched a large-scale offensive Monday to push ISIS out of Tikrit, Saddam Hussein's hometown. 80 miles northwest of Baghdad, Tikrit could serve as a model for the much more important and bigger battle to retake the control of Mosul. ISIS seized both cities last summer on a humiliating defeat to the US-trained Iraqi forces. A Pentagon spokesperson said that while the US government had knowledge of this operation, they are not involved. There's no US warplanes involved in this attack. The Pentagon officials said that the Iraqi army's success in retaking this city is very important to the future of the whole operation to regain control back from ISIS. Mosul is the biggest city that they have in control, that ISIS have in control, and as long as they have control on this area of the western north part of Iraq, they will have the upper hand in the conflict. Tikrit is right in the middle of the road, actually connected by the main highway that goes from the city, the capital city Baghdad, all the way to Mosul. Right in the middle is Tikrit. But more important than that, Nick, I think there's one element of this story that is really, really important. The western population of, the western Iraq population is mainly Sunni, as the main religion that also ISIS have. And historically, the conflict in the area in Iraq is Sunni versus Shiites, and who are actually the rightful descendants of the Prophet. And they've been hundreds of thousands of deaths over this sectarian conflict. And the fact that now we are seeing them work together to fight against this bigger enemy that it's ISIS, I think it's a very important turning point in the a historical turning point of the conflict in the Middle East. Go ahead.
It really highlights the universal hatred that the world is starting to have for ISIS.
Yes.
It goes beyond religion, because I don't even want to attach ISIS to any certain religion at all, any sect of Islam at all. You know, they don't follow anything that was even close to what they preach in those religions. But you're right. It's important, and it really does show this tide that's turning. And the more that people come together against ISIS, the more that the quicker they will be defeated. I mean, you see people in cahoots now that were never in cahoots before, trying to fight ISIS. So that's important, and it's sad that conflict ultimately brings the world together, and it's kind of ironic, but.
But you know, it's a good point. It's good to remember that the previous prime minister of Iraq, Nouri al-Maliki, he had the Sunni population really, really angry because he had very oppressive measures of government against that particular group. But now the new Iraqi prime minister, Haider al-Abadi, had very, very positive words to say in a televised statement, and this is what he said. Today, God willing, we start an important military campaign to liberate the citizens of Salahuddin province from ISIS. Our goal is to liberate people from the oppression and terrorism of Daesh. He added, using the Arabic acronym for ISIS. I think this is great that finally, not only we're seeing unity within the Iraqi people, but also we're seeing the independence of the Iraqi military from the US. This is one of the very first big-scale operations that the Iraqi-led government, the native government from Iraq is taking on their own. And this is very important because so far most of the successful armed attacks versus ISIS have come led by the US Air Force. Now we are seeing that they are being able to do it on their own. I think this is a very important turn of events.
So is the U.S. kind of saying, good luck, good job, Sunny, you've made it this far. It's like their kid, but I'd like to see more U.S. involvement for sure, ultimately. I think they deserve it. Yeah. The U.S. should take some responsibility for what's happening in there, indirectly, of course.
I think that's part of the issue. Recently, the Central Command of the U.S. military from the United States, they said that they were planning on attacking Mosul in the upcoming months, which kind of angered the Iraqi government by saying, well, are we just here standing aside to you and you're making the calls. We are an independent country. We're looking forward to be an independent country that make their own decisions, that they actually take care of their own problems. But to that extent, the U.S. Central Command, they just did a statement regarding this strike that Iraq is doing versus ISIS. And they said, by the same token, if they're not ready, referring to Iraq, if the conditions are not set, if all the equipment that they need is not physically there, and they are not trained to a degree in which they will be successful, we have not closed the door on continuing to slide that to the right, referring to the date of the attack to Mosul. Other U.S. militaries had also doubt that Iraq has the manpower and the training and the weapons needed to do a serious and successful attack to regain Mosul. To that extent, Rear Admiral John Kirby, the spokesperson for the Pentagon, had this quote to say, "This is going to be and must be an Iraqi-led operation. We're not going to be able to go, nor do we want to go any faster than the Iraqis are ready to go on this matter." And again, I think this is very important that finally we're seeing that the Iraqi government is getting some traction on decision-making on how to protect their land, on decision-making on how to go forward. But it's also good that the U.S., Nick, is not just letting them go without them being prepared, because obviously if they fail, ISIS is going to gain a lot of traction. They're going to advance closer to the capital city. And if that happens, I think it's going to be harder to keep them under control than it's so far.
Any advance on ISIS's part in any country could possibly pose new threats to the entire world. So yeah, it's really important what's going on. They're still on track for the attack on Mosul, to take back Mosul.
Yes, they are on track.
And this will certainly help them, given that highway, that whole thing, right?
Yeah, so I think this is critical. The fact that Iraq might be able to regain on their own right the control of Tikrit will give them an upper hand on trying to regain Mosul. And if they do those two movements and they're successful, we might be seeing the dawn of a new era in the region, where Iraq is starting to, the U.S. is starting to see the fruit of helping Iraq develop their military. So we want to know, what do you think? Do you think that really this coming together of the Sunnis and the Shiites is going to help end the problem in the Middle East? Let us know what you think in the comments, and subscribe to the Lip TV.